I'm Curtis Walsh on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Teleforum is on the air on Beaver County Radio, 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP. The show is presented by East Rochester and Tusca Shop and Saves. And now, here is the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
I'm just going to do this right out of the box. It's Ask the Commissioners. Tony AMADIO is here. Jack Manning is here. The question that if I don't get this out, good morning, gentlemen. Good to see you. This is being live streamed on Facebook. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning.
What did I say last time? Live feeded? Well, you corrected me.
Hey, Eddie, it's always good to be with you, my friend.
I know. Here's my first question. How come in Brighton Township we ain't got a trolley? Because Ambridge is getting a trolley.
Oh, you don't have it downtown in Brighton.
Right.
Bring a trolley. It will build itself.
Wait a minute. You had one of those events. I saw it. The guy made the trolley out of those 55-gallon barrels and was pulling kids around in the thing there. You've got a trolley.
Oh,
you've got a whole train.
Would it
you could bring in here?
Would it be Fred Rogers worthy, though? Talk about what happened a couple of days ago. You were at the press conference in Ambridge.
Sure. Yeah, no, in the governor's budget, they passed a provision called Main Street Matters, $20 million to go for the continual revitalization of core Main Street corridors, of which, are legacy riverfront towns.
Is that $20 million for the county?
That's $20 million statewide.
Statewide, okay.
Yeah, quite frankly, it was an underwhelming amount from my perspective, given, Tony, how many downtowns are there across the Commonwealth? Right. But we've got 8 to 10 here in Beaver County.
Right. Route 65, turn right.
Yeah, well, all of our legacy riverfront towns. There are 6 that qualify in our county-run community development program. So all of those are eligible to apply now for some small grants to help continue with the revitalization. And several of our downtowns have come a long way.
What makes them qualify? How do you qualify?
Population, density.
Okay. It's not a talent.
Income levels,
Okay.
housing, meeting housing costs. There's a formula that HUD puts together for those, and we have 6 that remain in that program.
Basically, density of the populations.
Density. Population density. Okay.
Yeah, they're considered more urban than rural areas.
$20 million for the entire state? I was all excited about it. When you think about it, what are there, 67 counties?
Yes.
Okay.
67 counties, and I don't know how many municipalities, it's 5,000 something, that are similar to what we have with our boroughs and third-class cities and the like. In that budget, we were all pleased, I think, for the $500 million called sites, where they were trying to make more pad-ready sites for big jobs, bigger projects, bigger employers coming in. And I know we're trying to tap into that. Lou Velati at the CED has been working hard on some of those things.
At least we're getting money now. During the 80s and 90s and turn of the century, we would always say that the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, is actually 2 states divided by the mountains. And with the eastern part of the state, always got most of the money. And all you got to do is travel the turnpike to see what I'm talking about, the differences in the roads and how the width of the turnpike goes from, in western Pennsylvania, from 2 lanes to 3 and 4 lanes once you get on the other side of the mountains.
Well, to put this in perspective, Eddie.
I never knew that about the turnpike.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Tony, Dan, and I, we gave $16 million in infrastructure to those same communities.
That was the ARPA money?
Yeah.
ARPA.
So we allocated out of our thing $16 million to those same communities.
So 80%.
And a few others, but $16 million. The state set aside $20 million. That's what. Look, I'm never going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I mean, they're going to do that. That's fine. But just to put it in perspective, and I think a big part of the event in Ambridge was really to recognize how far Ambridge has come over the last decade or so with county investments, private business owner investments, as well as state and federal dollars. Because it's been a combination of those things that's really turned Ambridge around. And I'm pretty excited, pretty bullish on Ambridge and Beaver Falls and Rochester and Monaca and Aliquippa. All the towns have done a remarkable job coming back from the depth of despair in the crash of the steel mills.
With that being said, we're still having a hard time getting these communities to spend the money.
What are they doing? What are they doing with the money? When's the deadline? I knew we had it about a year.
We have one at the end of this year.
Okay.
Where the money has to get spent. Otherwise, it's going to come back, or else we're going to send it back.
Yeah, the project has to be fully underway and completed shortly after. But
why is there a delay in sorting that out? What's the benefit of the delay?
Look, there's been permitting issues. There's been supply chain issues with a lot of them, and it's been difficult. I know, like with Monaca, they're doing their streetscape and the roundabout there, and it just took a long time for them to get all the permits, all the design, all the engineering and stuff.
Bureaucracy.
Thank you.
Exactly. And but it's happening now. Some others, I can't really explain why.
In other words,
and those that we can't explain, we won't.
Well, I've said this.
Well, now wait a minute. You understand the problem, but you won't explain the problem, or you can't explain the problem without further exacerbating the problem?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, combination of those. Look, I've said repeatedly, and I think Dan and Tony have as well, if the U.S. Treasury is going to give us $92 million of our money back, we're going to make sure that it stays in Beaver County and is spent in Beaver County, and we don't have to cut a check back to the Treasury. And that's what we're hell-bent to do. That's what we're going to figure out a way to do. But it's been disappointing because we've given out almost 2/3 of that for infrastructure projects to towns, boroughs, third-class cities, and the like. And for the most part, it's being used effectively to improve the quality of life or to improve the economy or to improve the health, safety, and welfare of our residents.
And it's October 31st. No extensions. I mean,
Halloween night. You got to give back your goodie bag if you don't eat the stuff in the bag.
You don't have to give it back. You have to submit bills to get the money.
We're still sitting on it, right?
Yeah.
So it was a reimbursement process. If you say you're going to put a pipeline someplace, or you're going to put new sewer lines in, or you're going to remove blight in your neighborhood, or you're going to build a new park, that's great. And as you get those receipts for that work going forward, we go and reimburse you for that work. That's how we do it. We didn't just sign a check. Hey,
here you go.
Borough of Monaca, here's a couple $1 million.
In general terms, are those projects being worked on right now? Because October. Okay, so there are receipts that are going to come in.
A lot has been completed.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. A lot has been completed. A lot is in progress.
It's all infrastructure. $16 million for infrastructure.
Yeah.
That don't go as far as it used to.
Sure beats zero.
Yeah. So how frustrating is it? Because it sounds, well, as a former teacher, would you rather get the papers turned in a little at a time, or here comes a big pile of them on the last day?
Usually I get them late.
Late? But late won't work with this. You said yourself.
Well, I mean, we're constrained by the regulations that the U.S. Treasury put on us. Now, it took a long time for them to sort out what the final regulations were that we were dealing with. I mean, it was almost 2 years into the process before everything was fully settled.
And we don't want to pay back double. Like some instances with HUD, if you do something wrong and they say this is wrong, and it's $10 million, you're going to pay back $20 million.
Talk about the state of governance that seemingly we can't even figure out a way to get free money in our pockets in a timely manner. Is that fair to say?
I don't know. I think there's more hype and talk about it than actual accomplishment sometimes with this stuff. You know, we've got a lot of needs out there.
What's the most pressing need? If you can snap your fingers, Tony Amadeo, Jack Manning as commissioners, you go, we deem it so. What is the first place that's going to get addressed? What's the first issue?
Well, we still have a lot of aging infrastructure. Let's face it.
We've been doing a lot, though.
We've poured a lot of money into it, and lots being done, but there's still a lot more to be done. I mean, we've talked about the Aliquippa-Ambridge Bridge. We've talked about different issues. I'm trying to work on a project with the Falston Bridge to be able to do some trail connectivity, and New Brighton Borough seems interested in it and stuff. Those things are expensive, though. But in addition to the other 57, I think it is, small bridges in roads and repair.
62?
I don't know. 62, but 5 are inactive, I think. But that, I mean, you know, we put a lot of money into parks and recreation, into Brush Creek, Brady's Run. That helps improve the quality of life, because a lot of those things had aging issues and needed to be repaired.
The lake cost us $2.1 million.
The pond and dredging the pond is going to be a
He's
pretty
talking about the
hefty
retention
bill.
ponds.
Yeah, retention ponds.
Why do you have to dredge it?
Well, that's a silt. They collect silt.
So
do the silt.
it's not
just
collecting.
Over time,
Right.
it has to be maintained. It just has to be done. So
It's just like having a septic tank. You have to clean it out every once in a while.
Yeah.
Even if it's doing its job, you still have to clean it out.
It's
Preventative maintenance.
look. It's no different than owning a house and cleaning your gutters and and a whole bunch of other things that you got to do.
How tough is it to feel like you're catching up? Talking about preventative maintenance. Just before we're talking about bridges that need to be addressed right now. Do you feel like you're making headway, or is it?
We are, and a lot of it started even before I got into office. It started back with Tony, Dan, and Sandy and stuff with Constellation Energy and all the improvements that we had done to the courthouse that hadn't had a whole lot done in the previous 20 years to maintain it, with the carpet, the tile, the roof, the concrete repair that we've done.
The heating ventilation systems on the roof.
HVAC systems. And then, we own a couple of buildings there. The building in Beaver Falls has a lot of work that we've had to do. So just that maintenance and that catch-up to make sure that the facilities are being well-run and well-maintained. We're not turning things into Taj Mahal by any means, but you want things to be functional, and you want the public to be able to come into a building, and you want employees to work in a building, that the toilets flush.
So that's the first thing I ask.
And the hallways are clean, and there aren't broken windows, and people aren't tripping over concrete, and we're in ADA compliance, and all the other things we've done. And that takes a considerable
things
effort.
that are attached. The men's shelter, the women's shelter. We've given them $1 million apiece.
Where's the tipping point when you're talking about facilities? You mentioned making it ADA, making it up to code. Code changes every year.
It does. We just changed the sidewalk and the parking area on Market Street as a result of things being out of compliance with 88 ramps.
When is it better to say, okay, this is a lost cause, we're going to tear it down and build again? Where's the tipping point when it comes to facilities? Is it a time?
Facilities are relatively new.
Yeah, there's nothing that we have right now that's even close to that level.
2003, that's when most of our buildings were built.
Yeah,
Okay.
as long as they're maintained well. And I don't know that we've always invested as much as we should have. But lately, at least in the last 5 years that I've been here, I think we've been on top of that. And we have predictive and preventive maintenance issues as well as other repairs. But poor Dan Covell, our head of the Department of Public Works, he's the first guy to speak at our work sessions. And a lot of times he said, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this broke or that broke, or we need to do this,
We
and
call
stuff.
him the Grim Reaper.
But they do a fantastic job. Dan is great. He stays on top of it. We take care of things. I mean, we just had a discussion Wednesday about the Vickery Mansion, which the county has purview over. And
What is it? What is that?
The Vickery House, Vickery Mansion is in Freedom, historic building, and History and Landmarks is housed there, and some other things. And it's
Somehow we got ownership of it.
And,
Well, that was my next question.
Don't ask, because I have, and I have got a good
We've
answer.
tried, yeah.
For 5 years. But the fact of the matter is, I don't want to happen on our watch that this building collapsed, this historic building collapsed, and it's got a bad porch. It had gutters. It had roof repairs and stuff.
Why
and
does
the
the
columns are rotting?
Why does the county own it? They win it in a
'Cause
card
it's a
game?
historical
It goes
site.
back
Is it?
decades.
Okay.
Where somewhere there was an agreement that the county would maintain this.
It's a historical site.
And it's right, and it's there in writing. There's some agreement, and we're trying to honor that agreement. But I mean, you know, the old money pit story. I actually bought one of those, and you know, you're always pouring money into older homes and older facilities, and here you have a couple of hundred-year-old
The
house.
stone structure's good. It's the wooden
the
parts.
foundation's good.
Yeah, but it's also got to be done at a craftsman level that is
Yes.
not part of the code
And
now.
that
was just-
exacerbates it.
Yeah.
That exacerbates it for sure.
I mean-
That it has to be done right, because it is a historical designated home.
It is just
House.
like the money pit.
Yeah.
You got the one expert, and wainscoting is not cheap.
I mean, it's a nice place to visit.
Yeah.
It's a historical place. I think the guy was a riverboat captain
Yeah.
that went up and down the river, and he built the place on the 1800s, late 1800s.
Yeah.
Is it worthy to become a museum?
Oh, yes.
I
Yes.
love
Well, it is
history.
for all
Yes, it
intents
is.
and purposes.
Okay.
I mean, it's up there with Old Economy Village and some other things as some of the most historic, you know, I think foundation educational places that we have in Beaver County. And I'm big on making sure that our history and our legacy, as you know, we're blessed that we have two rivers that run through the middle of Beaver County, and those rivers begot the riverfront towns.
Sure.
And the industry, the glass and the steel that was made, and folks like the Victory Mansion and Old Economy, the Harmonist and Old Economy Village, and all the other stuff that's the foundation in the history of the county.
Jack Manning and Tony Amadeo are my guests, county commissioners, because it's Ask the Commissioners. If you've got a question, I got plenty, but if you've got a question, 724-843-1888. More questions after news.
The best of Beaver County is easy to discover. It's right here on your radio. Tune in Beaver County Radio or watch the Best of Beaver County live on Facebook or YouTube video this and every Thursday from 11 to 11:30. The program is made possible by St. Barnabas. For over 3 years now, the show has been dedicated to shining light on the great things going on right here in your neighborhood and the people that are making it happen. This Thursday, enjoy conversation and insight from an intriguing lineup of guests who are creating excitement and having an impact right here in Beaver County. Your friends and neighbors at St. Barnabas are pleased to support the Best of Beaver County. The radio broadcast will also be replayed each week from 11:30 to noon on Sundays on Beaver County Radio. Archived Best of Beaver County videos can be viewed on the WBVP WMBA Facebook page. It's your chance to encounter the best of Beaver County with host Mike Romai this Thursday starting at 11. For more information, visit beavercountyradio.com.
Being a part of a team where everyone plays and, more importantly, everyone wins. This is Cindy Hilario from Friendly Federal Credit Union. Last year, we loaned out millions of dollars to our members for all sorts of reasons. Money to fund those loans came from accounts that other member owners had already put on deposit with us. Friendly Federal Credit Union enables local people to do many things by working together like a team. Why not join our team? And if you need a loan, it's game time. And remember, there's no I in team.
But there is in Friendly.
Oh, come on, Amy. Can't you see I was on a roll here? You better watch it, or I'm going to keep my eye out on you from now on.
Visit Friendly Federal Credit Union in Baden or Aliquippa. Member NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Friendly Federal Credit Union. You got a friend.
Looking for home services? Call Patriot Home Care in Beaver Falls. Their staff provides company, conversation, and companionship to all patients, ensuring medications are taken on time, participating in fun community activities, personal care, meal prep, and light household work are all services provided by Patriot Home Care, all thanks to the hardworking and selfless team members. Call Patriot Home Care at 724-506-8911 or stop in Patriot Home Care, 1225 7th Avenue, Beaver Falls.
Beaver County Radio's news source. 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Curtis Walsh.
Good morning on this Thursday, September the 5th of 2024. We can expect sunny skies today with a high of about 83 degrees. We'll have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after we take this look at news. A juvenile is in custody following an Aliquippa traffic stop. Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano reports that just before midnight, a traffic stop was conducted at Reed and McMinn Streets. The operator of the vehicle was 21-year-old Oriana Lay, and her license was suspended. An officer had Lay exit the vehicle. The second officer observed her juvenile male passenger reach into his waistband and attempt to shove a firearm under the seat. Police removed the juvenile and discovered a loaded Glock 20 10mm pistol. According to the report, police confirmed the firearm had been stolen from Rochester. Police say they also found marijuana. He was transported to the Aliquippa Police Department and securely detained. As the Shapiro administration continues its rapid deployment of federal electric vehicle charging investments, the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation is inviting the public to submit feedback on the agency's proposal to invest in EV charging infrastructure in communities statewide. The survey is open to the public and can be found on the PennDOT website, where it will remain open until October 11th at midnight. PennDOT District 11 has announced lane restrictions are continuing on the McKees Rocks Bridge in Pittsburgh and McKees Rocks Borough. The McKees Rocks Bridge will continue to utilize a single lane of traffic in each direction. Crews will continue to use an alternating traffic pattern along the bridge as needed, weekdays from 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. through June of 2025 to conduct various operations. Flaggers will be assisting motorists through the work zone. Verizon is buying Frontier Communications in a $20 billion deal that helps bolster its fiber network. Verizon said Thursday that the transaction will also help it in the areas of artificial intelligence. Frontier has concentrated heavily on its fiber network capabilities over the last 4 years, investing over $4.1 billion in upgrades and expanding its fiber network. They say they now get half their revenue from fiber products. A beloved fictional food may soon become a reality. Wendy's is reportedly coming out with a Krabby Patty burger, an item made famous by being sold at the Krusty Krab restaurant on Nickelodeon's SpongeBob SquarePants. What appeared to be an internal Wendy's memo dated August 16th was leaked online. The memo stated the item would become available October 8th in celebration of the 25th anniversary of SpongeBob as part of a promotion with Paramount, which owns this franchise. The memo touted a Krabby Patty meal with a premium cheeseburger and secret Krabby Patty sauce, along with pineapple Frosties. And Allegheny Health Network's Allegheny Valley Hospital has completed a $12 million expansion and renovation of its imaging and radiology department. The new 8,000-square-foot imaging center located on the ground floor of AVH is offering state-of-the-art imaging technologies and diagnostic capabilities. The new center now houses advanced ultrasound, CT scanning, MRI, general radiography, and other services.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
We're looking at a really fantastic day overall, with sunny skies and a high near 81. Clear tonight will drop down to a low in the mid-50s. Mostly sunny tomorrow. There is a slight chance of showers in the afternoon, and then a chance of showers and thunderstorms in the evening. Look for a high of 86 and a low of 55. Sunshine on Saturday, with a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms in the early part of the day. It'll be a bit cooler temperature-wise. We'll reach a high of 66 and an overnight low of 45, and a beautiful sunny day in the forecast for Sunday, a little on the cooler side as well. We'll see a high of 68 and a low in the upper 40s. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
On this Thursday, September the 5th of 2024 at 35 minutes past 9, we've got a temperature of 63 degrees with sunny skies in Beaver County. That's news. I'm Curtis Walsh on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Talk about what's happening in Beaver County or around the world on Teleforum. 724-843-1888. 724-774-1888. It's Teleforum with Eddie Crow.
Oh, it is far better than Teleforum. Today is the monthly visit from Jack Manning and Tony Amadeo, and we ask the commissioners, if you've got a question for the commissioners, 724-843-1888. I've got a question for the commissioners. Either one of you want to answer this, you can. You ready?
Sure.
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
Well, listen, SpongeBob was my niece's.
Yeah.
It captivated a lot of kids in that era there. We actually have a little quarter-acre pond.
Okay.
When she came to visit.
Little bluegill
we
pond?
actually bought a plastic SpongeBob.
Yes.
And sunk it
Yes.
about 1.5 feet there. And when she came to visit, this is where SpongeBob
This is where,
was.
yeah, this is where you
We actually
vacation.
did that. I'm not really proud of that, but we actually
I would
did
be-
that. And she was enthralled. She was like 3 at the time. and
I
stuff,
would be
and she was
proud
like
as
3.
punch of that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
She'll remember that her whole life, the time she went to Grandpa's Pond, right?
Yeah.
Look, now in Sponge. No, this is where you vacations, honey. Yeah. I'd way rather talk to you guys about that than this. Jack, if you make sure your headphones are plugged in, we might have a question on the phone for you. I'm going to ask questions other than cartoon questions, too. Hi, what is your name?
Good morning, Eddie. Happy Commissioner's Day.
Happy Commissioner's Day, Charlie. What's your question?
Is there any way, and by the way, I want to tell the gentlemen that are there that I think the county commissioners are doing a fine job. You know, I see the county getting better every year at the county level. But my question is, the same one I ask a lot of the times, is there any way to take any of that money that you're under a gun having to send back by a certain day if it's not spent? Is there any way to take that and use that as a down payment on a detention facility for the juvenile offenders in this county? Because I know we've talked about that a lot, and it's a big need. Excuse me, it's a big issue. So if there's a way to do that, to use some of that money, you know, and make a down payment on it, wouldn't pay for the whole thing maybe, and you know, make the county better that way. So I'll just hang up and listen.
All right.
Yeah, so using ARPA money for a juvenile detention facility, the short answer is no. That wouldn't necessarily be an eligible use of the funds given the guidelines that we have.
Is it too late to not argue but try and adjust the guidelines, or were the guidelines agreed to when they said, here's the money?
Yeah, well, as I told you,
Yeah.
when did the ARPA funds first come out? I've lost track. It was 1.5 years before they finally settled on the guidelines. But that would not be an eligible use for us to apply those funds. And that said, that is an extremely expensive endeavor. If we were to do anything, and I think we've talked about this before, we might try and build a small pod at the county jail. So we wouldn't have to create a whole new infrastructure and could leverage staffing and the stuff. But even that would be a multi-million-dollar endeavor that if we could even build it, there's staffing and regulation issues that still make that an extremely difficult bureaucratic effort and lift.
That has to be approved by the state.
You
If it takes too much time, again, October 31st.
Yeah.
And then we could take the money and use it for things that we've already completed. But as far as starting something new, even if it was eligible, it's not eligible.
Has the reopening of Schumann helped alleviate any of the stress?
Short term, it'll help a little bit, as well as other facilities that are opening that we've talked about before in Lawrence and Westmoreland and Fayette and different places. But the need's still out there. We met a month or so ago again with some police chiefs and different people from corrections and juvenile services, and we're still trying to do what we can to find a facility. The IOJs, the ones where juveniles are charged as an adult, we have that under control, and there's enough beds with an agreement we have with Lawrence County that has a facility that can house those. Plus, we also have capacity to have 2 in-house in our jail. But it's the ones that aren't being charged as an adult, the ones that
are getting kicked back,
should be detained, but we just can't find a bed for. It's still tough for our juvenile services people to find somebody.
Commonwealth-wide. It's not just Beaver County or Southwest Penn. It's the entire Commonwealth.
Is there a simple answer, and we just aren't addressing
There's
it?
never a simple answer to anything in government. Ever.
Yeah. We're exploring a couple of things that might have some potential. Can't really.
As Jack mentioned, we meet on this quite frequently.
Yeah.
And we discuss our options, and we do the best we can with what we have.
Is the progress being shown from one meeting to the next, or do you still feel, are you spinning your wheels?
Well, no, I mean, we're stopping again by regulations and the rules to get certified with some things. I mean, there's plenty of buildings, but trying to convert them or build them or renovate those to be at the standard that's required, and then trying to find the staffing to fill those jobs. We have enough trouble just keeping the jail staffed.
Right.
You've spoken of that. There are facilities that are not running at capacity because there aren't the people
because they
that
don't
can
have
run.
enough people. They could be taking more kids in, but they don't have the staff.
Well, we've signed PAN forms. A month later, we're signing. They're leaving. It just.
I mean, at one point it was a 50% turnover.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's bad.
And there's a lot of reasons and factors for that. Again, it's not a simple solution for that as well, but it's a constant battle to make sure we're fully staffed at the jail, let alone a juvenile detention facility. We know the needs there. The police are doing their job. They're doing a good job. They're catching these kids if they're stealing cars, breaking into cars.
What's the big crime? Stealing a car?
That's still a significant issue.
Okay.
And again, that's statewide, regionally. There's a lot of issues with that. The police go, they catch the kids, they go through the rubric. Even if it says, yes, this person should be detained because stole a car, fled from police, may have had a firearm, in the car, or there's some other physical altercation. It says, yep, should detain. Now they have to go and scramble within 6 hours.
6 hours.
To find a bed to transfer this individual to.
And if they don't get 6 hours,
they're released.
You're gone.
They're released. And unfortunately, the juveniles know this.
Well,
they know it, and they flaunt it back into the community a lot of times. And you can't do anything. So there aren't consequences, and we need to make sure there's consequences.
When do the consequences kick in? After 18?
Yeah, after 18, then
paper-wise.
Sure, then they can be arraigned in front of a magistrate and sent right to the Beaver County Jail.
724-843-1888. If you'd like to pose a question, it's Ask the Commissioners, 16 minutes till 10 o'clock Thursday morning on Teleforum. Hi, what is your name?
Good morning, it's Mike.
Hi, Mike. How are you doing? What is your question for the commissioners?
Yes, I do. Good morning, gentlemen. My question is, does the county have a written policy for officials, county officials appointed or elected appearing in commercials, political commercials? I've seen a couple of commercials, one individual that has a Beaver County uniform.
Right.
The car is clearly marked Beaver County. And I was just wondering if the county has a policy that are they allowed to do that on their own time? When you see the county name on the uniform and the car, does that imply that the county supports that candidate? I was just wondering. And of course, you have appointed and you have elected. Elected officials are answer to the people. But I was just wondering if there was a policy, county policy, as far as appearing in commercials or, election type things.
Is there? I honestly, at this point, even if there is, and the breakdown of who's allowed to do what and implying this or that, it all seems silly, but I'm looking at it logically. You have to look at it differently. We do have a
policy for employees to not appear in campaign commercials using county assets or in a county uniform.
They can't even bring political stuff into the courthouse.
They can't wear pins on their hats or on their shirts, and those things. So we do have a policy for that. I'm sure this individual is referring to a duly elected row officer in which those guidelines don't fall under the commissioner's purview for those people. They are duly elected, independently elected officials of the county elected by the people. The accountability, I guess, is with them, or I don't know, Harrisburg, there could be some ethics things or something that people might be able to do. I don't know. Obviously, we've gotten a lot of comments, a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls.
This isn't the first time you've heard.
And we
this.
discussed it.
Mm-hmm.
We've discussed it. We talked to our solicitor. And our solicitor broached the particular individual and let him know of our displeasure.
Yeah, I'm disappointed because it does infer or imply a countywide support for this.
What are the repercussions that are possible?
Right now?
Yeah.
I don't know of any.
I mean, if there are guidelines to not do something and somebody does something, you assume there's a punishment or something that can be done?
Well, again, if this had been an employee of his department or any of our departments, we have a different conversation.
Okay.
There are repercussions. In this case, if it's the treasurer or the sheriff or the controller or the pathonetary or the register of wills, clerk of courts, or any of us individually, we don't have any recourse.
They're in charge of their own departments.
Yeah.
They're elected officials.
Mm-hmm.
They just happen to be housed in the courthouse.
Okay, proximity.
Yeah.
How important are endorsements? Because that's sort of what we're talking about, frankly, implied endorsements
today.
with this or that.
Quite frankly, I think endorsements, newspaper endorsements, union endorsements, I think they carry a heck of a lot less weight than they used to back in the
because of the media, the mass media we have today.
Yeah.
Back in the old days, when the president ran for president, he was on the back of the train if he got to get around.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, if you read the story about Abraham Lincoln, he didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
When he ran for office,
plus I also
put word out on
think
big newspapers.
I don't think those organizations are as monolithic as they used to be, right? And I don't think, like, if you're a union, my dad was a oil refinery worker union guy. Yeah. He was expected to vote the union thing, and if anybody found out he didn't, there were usually repercussions.
There was going to be a discussion.
Now you look at the unions. I mean, Tony and I were both endorsed by multiple unions. I'm a Republican; he's a Democrat.
Well, does that make you feel better about maybe they're being open-minded or not as dogmatic?
I do. I do appreciate how they've evolved to figure out, here's somebody who's on our side. Maybe not 100% of the time, but 90% of the time, we're going to be in favor and think the same way. It's everything that I've ever done. I can find common ground with somebody on something, regardless of what their philosophical, political, or ideological approach is, right?
Is that more
And finding
difficult?
common ground is what's important. If you can get something done that's to the benefit of the people, as a result of that, my county and my country is always going to come before my party affiliation. And I think most of those organizations feel the same way. What's best for us, what's best in aggregate for the county and the country.
In our case, it's Beaver County. What's best for Beaver County.
That's right.
Is that a more difficult thing to find a place to meet in the middle? Are people less interested?
It's a more difficult place to run.
Yeah.
Just because of our political nature and the way the primaries are.
Our whole country's been based on compromise. Historically, you know that as well as I do. But things are changing.
Well, you and I may know that.
Everyone's polarized now, for the most part. You know, there's nobody in the middle anymore. And if you're in the middle, like we are,
absolutely, Tony and I think represent that.
You're in trouble.
How do you answer when somebody says being in the middle means you're not committed to either way?
Well, what I want to say,
I know what you want to say.
My comeback is I'm going to do what's best for my community before I think about any political ramifications for myself or anybody else. I don't make political decisions based on politics. a lot of decisions have political ramifications, but that's just the nature of the way things get done. Like for what we were just talking about, I won't endorse if there's an incumbent running at any level. I stay out of that. I'm not going to endorse an opponent of somebody who's a sitting congressman, senator, state rep, or whatever. Why? Because I have to work with that person.
And they bring us the money. And they help us.
And those people collectively, with what we're doing at the county level, is how we make things better in Beaver County. So why on earth would I sit across the table from somebody trying to negotiate for new bridge money or something else when I've trashed them because I've endorsed their opponent? That's just me.
You can't walk in and say, hey, I take it back.
Yeah, I mean, you can't.
All's fair in love, war, and politics.
Once you cross that bridge, you can't do it. And there's no reason to do it. And particularly with the lack of civility of some of these ads and dissertations, just drives me crazy.
But our board's so successful because we agree to disagree.
Yeah.
We don't take it
personal. We don't agree on anything, but I make my comments, make my statements. Dan does, Tony does. Okay, we move on.
If you were young upstarts just starting out in politics as young men in the current climate, would you go into politics?
Well, look, I didn't go into politics till I was well into my 50s, late 50s.
I went into it to help people. As you keep alluding to, I'm a former teacher. That's where I learned to help people. Because you don't just teach students, you teach you help families while you're teaching their students. And I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed being able to pick the phone up as a teacher back then and helping. And now as a commissioner, I hook people up with the right people that they don't know who to contact when they got an issue. Take, for example, say your mom's real sick and she needs help. She needs to get into a nursing home, or she needs mental health issues. She needs help with mental health issues. I know who to put that person into contact with to get her the help that she needs.
And that can save days, hours, weeks, months.
And a lot of family anguish.
Yeah. My values and philosophy hasn't changed at all, and that's where I ran and the way I ran. And yesterday was the 100th anniversary of my dad's birthday. Mm-hmm. And I put a post out because I've been reflecting on that. And the values that he taught me. I mean, here's a guy who was born in 1924, 5 years old of depression. His mother dies of rheumatic fever when he's 12. He's given to an aunt and uncle who didn't have any kids raised. Graduates from high school in 1942, goes into the Navy, serves on a hospital ship in the South Pacific, comes home, marries my mom, has 3 kids. My mom comes down with cancer for 15 years. They battle cancer. She dies at 53. He dies of a second heart attack at 62. What my dad taught me is life is not fair. Mm-hmm. But I never heard him bitch or complain, never blamed anybody. You play the cards that are dealt you to make the best hand you can. You show empathy and kindness. Mm-hmm. At his funeral, a couple hundred people, all the people that he worked with at the refinery, what a nice guy your dad was, great guy. He was a community servant. He was involved in things. I do it as a payback to my community that embraced me 25 years ago when they didn't have to, being a transplant plant up here. And I am just trying to serve the community the best I can. And the rest of that stuff, I really don't want to get bogged down and bothered with, because I don't think it adds value at the end of the day to, again, the quality of life, the economics, or the health, safety, and welfare of the county. I look at those 3 things. Every decision we make is about, are we improving the quality of life? Are we doing something with the economy, creating jobs, bringing in new tax revenue or visitors? Or does it improve the health, safety, and security of our employees, of our residents? And if it does that, those are the decisions I'm going to make. And I don't care who initiates it, where it comes from. If it's going to fit into one of those 3 categories, I'm going to support it.
I got about a minute and a half left. I love when you guys come in. Tony Amadeo and Jack Manning, the commissioners, my guest this hour. In a minute and a half, is there anything you wanted to let people know that we didn't get to? We covered a lot.
No.
I know a former teacher's got one more thing. No?
Hey, it's a beautiful county. You can raise your family and have a beautiful life. I'm just happy I'm here.
I'm happy you're here, too.
Thank you.
Tony,
I'm most appreciative, by the way.
Well, What's a day when I don't get corrected in my grammar, man?
I was just going to say, look, we're not naive to the problems and issues that we have, but we're trying to sell Beaver County for Beaver County and for people. So the negative headlines and the stuff that comes up, it really annoys me that when people try and portray Beaver County as something it isn't, or extrapolate something across broad strokes that doesn't, I think, reflect what a great quality of life, what a great county we have here.
Jack, thank you, sir. Tony,
No problem.
thank you. It's Teleforum. It's Beaver County Radio.
The place for news, sports,